Hello, welcome to another week. It's Tuesday. Last week's video finished on Monday, so I'm starting on a Tuesday. So last week the Polo went, it's gone back to the customer, all seems good at the moment, so fingers crossed. And what I've done today so far. If you remember, I had the BRM here and the ZR Express over there. So the BRM is no longer here. It's on the lift, so I can get the last few bits off. I've got the filler neck, I've got the arch liners, I've cut the front end off so we can unpick what we want off the front panel. And now I'm going to go through and just pull out everything in the engine bay, just so I've got everything that I could possibly need. So that is today's job. Let me tell you a story about yesterday. Right, so yesterday afternoon, the XJ went back into the mappers. Because if you remember rightly, we had the one problem. We resolved all the DPF and EGR faults that were coming up. They've all gone, but we're still getting restricted performance and zero code, so nothing showing. The mapper actually wrote the map himself as opposed to getting it from a supplier that he normally uses, and at the minute, it's gone. We're back to root health. So the XJ, fingers crossed, is all good. The XJ, no, the X-Type. That went back to him afterwards. Excuse me. And we took the ECU out, got it on the bench, plugged it all in, done everything he needed to do, couldn't get access to it. So he was going to investigate another tool that he could use, but in the meantime we put it back together so I could go home, except I couldn't go home. I think whatever had happened, it had got locked in a state of not accessible and accessible, and as soon as it went back in the car, it was bricked, wouldn't do anything. Got all the ignition lights, the fan come on and went crazy, but nothing else, it was dead. So I had to leave the X-Type with them. They've given me a courtesy car. The wife won't use it. It's a bright yellow Ford KA, so I'm ferrying her around at the moment. So he's ordered another ECU. He went to get one from a local supplier this morning that had one advertised. Turns out it wasn't the correct one, so one has been ordered. So we'll have to cross our fingers on that one as well and hope that one turns up and it can be done. So at the minute, that is dead at their workshop. So anyway. Right, so what else am I going to do the rest of the day? I need to get back in the engine bay and get those extra bits off. So here she'll sit until we get another trailer or borrow a trailer or whatever. But I can just fill it up with scrap now. So yeah, that's out of the workshop. Next job. So I've got the P38 in. I need to take all the stereo gear out and all my personal belongings so it can go on eBay. I am going to have the speakers out the front doors because obviously they cost me quite a bit of money. I might even put them in the Defender. I don't know. I watch a couple of stereo installation companies who do Defenders, and they put the mid bass in the seat box, and they put the mids under the dashboard and then the tweeters on top. So I might do the same, but I'll take them all out. There's no point in giving them away. So that's the job for the moment. Strip out all the audio gear. Everything's out. All the amp, the sub, all my gear, the radio, cables, etc. Everything is out. Stickers are off. I've just got to get the number plates off, and then she's ready to go. How do? Friday morning now. I had a couple of days off because the wife's car's still not back, so she needed ferrying about, and I had a hospital appointment and various other bits and pieces. But Friday, we've got the Jag on the ramp. I've got a wobble under braking, so I suspect it's warped discs, but I want to check all the bushes in case it's something else. As it happens, I've got a pretty much brand new set of brakes from the S-Type that I stripped to put the engine in. I kept them because they were very, very new, so I'm going to put them on, see if that cures the wobble, and have a look at the bushes and just make sure. I mean, it's had a MOT recently, so they should still be all right, but we've got to check. One issue though, I've lost the locking wheel nut key. One wheel has got 5 normal nuts on, 3 wheels have got lockers on. I've managed to get the locker off of the front wheel, which means I can change the brakes, but the back ones won't shift. The collars are just spinning now. So I don't quite know how we're going to get to that, because I can't weld something on the front because the collars are just spinning. So the collars have obviously got to come off first, but I don't really know how, because obviously the gap in the wheel is not very big. I've just tried drilling it, it's hard as nails, so I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to get the brakes changed on the front and see if that cures the wobble, and we'll have to take it somewhere and get them 2 taken out. So I've got to order some wheel nuts now as well. Palaver. The front brakes changed. I swapped over one of the calipers as well from the S-Type because I couldn't retract the caliper. So I'm wondering whether that's why they started warping, because they were obviously getting hot because the caliper wasn't retracting. So I've put another caliper on the front, so fingers crossed. I've bled it all up. I still can't get the rear lockers off. Every time I hammer the socket on, it's just spinning the collar. And when you look behind the collar, it's just a flat disc. So I don't know how they're going to come off. I think, if I remember rightly, we had the same issue on the S-Type and they had to be drilled out. So I think that's what's got to happen on this. So anyway, for now, the front discs are done, so we'll see. The only bit of play I found in bushes, I'll insert a video here. Is those front traction arms, wishbones, traction arms. They're not, the rubbers aren't split or perished. They've just got some movement in. I don't know if they're supposed to move that much or not. I don't know. As I say, the MOT man didn't flag them up, so I'll drive it on the new discs, see if the wobble stops. If it does, then we know it's that. If the wobble doesn't stop, then we'll look at maybe those arms. But we have got this Discovery in. It's a facelift Discovery TD5. Excuse me. Put it through the MOT a couple of weeks ago. It's got some advisories, so we're going to get it up on the lift and try and get most of them rectified. While the customer dropped it off, it was advised of a steering box leak, so I just got them to wiggle the steering while I had a look, and I think it's the seal on the bottom of the drop box. Sorry, on the bottom of the steering box where the drop arm goes, but again, we'll have a look when it's in the air. So let's get it up on the lift and let's have a walk around. Right, so it was advised that this near side track rod is damaged, and it is. I can't really, you can see there, it's not in a nice way. And apparently this side, although the boot's not damaged, has some play. So we've got to order a couple of track rod ends and try and get them out of there. Exciting. Right, so I'm going to replace the discs and pads. As you can see, the discs are manky. They're advised on the MOT. They are rough. We are getting a lot of water dripping out the middle, which I presume is the aircon, but I'll need to have a little look at that. It has been sat for a while apparently, so it might be just some water that's decided to drip now. I mean, it is looking a bit old, this Disco now. It's still perfectly serviceable, but it's just getting on a bit now. It needs a bit of loving. Track rod ends. This one wasn't advised, but it is now split, so I'm going to replace that one. But what I've done, because the rear track rods, or the rear drag link, no, the front's a drag link, this is the track rod, because this one is part of the bar and it's got a bit of play in it, I have ordered a complete set of bars. So you get the rear bar with the adjuster and the track rod on both ends, and you get a new front bar as well. The reason being, this bolt looks like it's going to snap as soon as you try and undo it. I don't know if these are going to adjust. So for not a lot more, probably for the same price as just getting the track rod, I could get the whole bar, and it comes with both track rods on each end. So that's what I've done. Right, let me show you the rear end at the moment. Now, this side is being shown as a leaking axle seal. Let me see if I can get the torch on. There we go. I've already done this axle seal last year. This back plate is a bit grotty, so I put a washer on to trap it in, and it's bolted at the top. I think this is left over from before. So what I'm going to do is pull all this off, and I'm going to have a look, but this doesn't look fresh to me. I can't remember cleaning it last time, so I'll give it a good wire brush and a clean up, and then I'll put it all back together, and we'll keep an eye on that in case it is still leaking, but I'm not sure it actually is. As I say, I've done it last year, so I think it'll be all right. So, other advisories. Right, back on the front, other advisories. These ball joint dust covers, as you can see, are perished. That's quite a task to change those. There's no play in the joints, it's just the boots. But to drop this hub out, obviously, got to take the whole arm off. Need to take the wheel bearing out, really, to remove the shaft out of the axle. So, yeah, that is a bit of a mammoth job. Not something I'm going to do right now, because ideally, I'd want to borrow a 4-post ramp to do them on, so it's a bit more secure, or do them on the floor. But I'm going to need lots of heat and a few extra tools. So, they're going to have to wait till before the next MOT, or you know, in the next few weeks, but not right now. We're gonna ignore them for the minute. Other advisories were steering box leakage, and as I said, I've had a look, and it is coming. You can see that other than up here where there's a bit of residual, this is drenched, so it's coming out the bottom seal of the steering box. So I'll have to see if there's a replacement seal you can do for that, or whether we've just got to change the box for a reconditioned one. The owner is on the case for a new box at the minute, and we've got oil leak. You can see it dripping off there, so I need to try and clean that up and investigate that. Okay, so it's pretty much the same as any other brakes I've done before and shown you. I'm going to do the 2 bolts on the caliper to bracket, pull that caliper out of the way, then unbolt the bracket, and then we can get the disc off by undoing the big screw there. And obviously we're going to change the pads. I'm going to clean all the sliders up and then refit it all back together. But as the discs aren't here yet, I'm just going to strip it all down ready. Now I've used my ratchet tool to push the pistons out so we can get new pads in there. So that's off. So now I need to just undo this bracket on the 2 big bolts. Got the front brakes all stripped down, so discs are off, pads are out, calipers are wound back, and they're ready. So we've just got to stick the new discs on now and then put it all back together. The arms have also turned up, so yeah, let's get this back in one piece. Got the old ones off, and obviously laid the new ones next to them to adjust, to get them as close as the original they were, but obviously the car will need to be tracked. So we've got the new front one on, goes up. I've just got to tighten this one up, it's the last bit to do. Up onto the steering box, new discs and pads, and the new one on the rear. So all tightened up. Yeah, just got to take it for tracking. I have greased up all the threaded joints on all the ball joints so they can be easily adjusted come the tracking. So let's get it back together now then. Put the wheels, well, tighten that last bolt up, get the wheels back on, and then I've got to sort out that rear, just clean up that rear hub and make sure that there's no leaking currently. Right, I've stripped the rear end down, and there was, where it was wet at the bottom. So I probably can't see it now, but I've cleaned it all up, degreased it, brake cleaner, wire brushed it. So I'm going to leave it for a little while and see if it gets wet again, and then we'll know. So yeah, give it a little while. Morning, it's Thursday today. Today's job is to take that Mercedes for a service. It's a very good family friend of ours, and unfortunately the owner is suffering with dementia. So we're trying to sell the car for him, but it's due a service. So we're taking it to where he always had it serviced to be done. So it keeps a service record. So yeah, so I'm not servicing it, but I'm just taking it to Mercedes place to be serviced. So it's an SL500. It's quite a nice car. But yeah, we need to get it serviced, get it cleaned, and get it sold. There we go. So I've had it washed. It is nice and clean. We're now at Alex Crow in Stowmarket, where it's going to have another service, just ready for its sale. So I'm going to go for a little wander, let them do their thing, and then I'll come back. What have we got here then? Let's crack this open and have a look. New door cards. New window glass. Let's borrow that. Bags and bags of bits. Bit of a jigsaw puzzle. Seals. The interior door panels. Electric windows. There'll be 2 of those. Push button handles. Door latches. Central locking motors. Pair of those. Galvanised door, push button door with zinc coated outer skin. And another door. So now we're just waiting for one more, which is the bonnet. Right, I've also persuaded the owner to let me service it. They're going to stay at the fuel filter. So I've got to change that. And then we'll do a full engine service. I'm going to do this first so I can change this, bleed the fueling system, let it run for a minute to warm the oil on that up, and then we'll do the rest of it. So let's get all this off. It's horrible. Ugh. Right, so ignition on, 5 pumps of the accelerator pedal, and then the engine management light flashes and it starts doing its blue procedure. So you let that do that a couple of times, well, for as long as it stops, and then maybe do it again as the fuel filter's been off, and then we'll give it a crank. It's running, one bleed system, or one bleed process, shall I say, and we're running. So we'll just let that get a little bit warm, and then we can drop the oil when it's nice and warm. So I'll leave it for a couple of minutes and have a cup of tea. Right, we're going to let that drain. 17mm to undo the sump nut. I'm just going to leave that to drain for 10 minutes while I nip out. Come back and we can start putting it back together. Right, so it was drained exactly the same as when I did my Defender a couple of weeks ago. I've pulled off that hose off the inlet off there so I can get to the centrifugal one, which is the 2 10mm bolts. So I've undone them already to make sure they come undone when the engine was hot, because they have a tendency to snap. So while it was warm and everything was expanded a touch, I've undone it. So the lid is just ready to come off now. And then the other one is, hang on, down there behind the turbo. So we'll get this centrifugal one changed first as it's all undone, and then we'll pull that one off. Right, I've cleaned all the housing up and we've got to change the O-ring again. It comes with the filter. The filter's now in the bowl. I've cleaned the lid as well, where the lid, sorry, I've cleaned the top where the lid seals to it. So Just going to pull this O-ring off and replace it with a new one before that gets bolted back down. Just had the second box turn up. Let's get it unpacked, make sure it's all right. And there she is, my Puma bonnet, which means I can now put the sound deadening on the TD5 and we'll have a much stronger bonnet, obviously, because I've had to cut the strengthening out the existing one for it to fit. So, lovely. All arrived undamaged. Right, the new oil filter is on. She is down there and tightened up hand tight. I've poured 6 3/4 litres in. From memory, this takes 7.2, so we'll just let it settle while I have a bit of lunch, and then we'll just top up as necessary. So then, next is the air filter. All that is, you just pop these clips off around the top of the airbox, wherever they are. We've got one there, one under there, and then we'll lift the lid out and change the air filter. Old one's out, it's not too bad, but nice new one to go in. So let's put all this back together. Right, that's this one done. I've just checked the oil again and it is just below the maximum, so we'll give the leftover oil to the owner and tell him just to keep an eye and obviously top up if necessary. He's asked me to take it for a bit of a drive, so I've got a job, well, not a job, I've got a place to go on Sunday, so I'll probably take it with me. Just for a little run out, and then I'll check it myself just to make sure. But yeah, this one's done. So that is the end of the week. I've got one more thing to do tonight. I'm picking up a car. But I'll probably save that for next week because I think this video is getting a bit long now. So I'll show you that come Monday. So have a lovely weekend. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share. And we'll see you next week where hopefully we'll get some of that bits sorted out for the Defender, the new doors and all that malarkey. So thanks very much. Take care.